Greetings, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how to hijack the Matrix, and how I did it with unicorns. So, in the Magus Society, the homie Pino the God and I were having a conversation about unicorns and synchronicities. Really, everybody knows in the group, I love unicorns. I post a lot of unicorn shit. But in particular, I found a meme where basically there was this dude who had a wound in his chest, and the guy was like, "Are you shot?" And it shows a flashback of the unicorn like stabbing him, and then he's like, "Who's gonna believe you?" Then it goes back to the time where the guy was, on the ground, and he's like, "Yeah, I got shot," because nobody would believe he got stabbed by a unicorn. Funny meme, whatever. So fast forward, and under the comments, Pino the God was like, you and this unicorn shit. Very next day, or very soon after at least, he comes across on his Snapchat an AK-47 that's fully unicorn modded out. Right? And I thought that was pretty awesome, because the synchronicities, we're just talking about that. And, of course it was modeled after some Call of Duty mod, somebody said in the comments. I don't know. I don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. But for him, at least, the synchronicities with unicorns kept popping up over and over again. Same way it does for me. But the thing is, yes, unicorns are everywhere in popular culture. But as far as hijacking the Matrix, you got to understand, like what I always say in these videos, the subconscious mind is a symbol-based operating system. What does that mean? That means the subconscious mind doesn't communicate in words. The language is through symbols, through pictures, through images, through sounds, right? Through different feelings. That's how the subconscious mind communicates. So in life, as we travel, as we go along, as we watch TV, as we're riding on the bus, as we're going to work, symbols are bombarding us at all times. So if we leave it up to someone else to define the definition of these symbols, we're at the mercy of whoever has enough money to put that symbol in our face. So when I talk about how to hijack the Matrix, how to bypass that system, it's extremely simple. You use your imagination, you use your creativity, you reprogram these symbols to mean something for you, right? Because when you do this, what you're essentially doing is allowing the spirit to communicate to you through a new language, right? If I program every symbol that I see in my life, skulls, unicorns, diamonds, the Mac symbol, the Apple, right? The Volvo symbol, Volkswagen symbol, etc. If I reprogram the Coca-Cola symbol, everything, if I give it my own definition, if I put in the work to reprogram it, when I step outside the house and I see these things, it's now communication between me and the divine. Now, what do I mean by reprogramming? I mean, for example, look at the Little Mermaid video that I posted a while back. Instead of seeing, Ariel from the Disney universe, you can see Yemaya, right? And if you're doing a ritual with Yemaya, she will communicate back with you every time you see a mermaid. You see what I mean? It's going to take a little bit of practice, right? Just like when I see the Terminator, I don't see Arnold Schwarzenegger and a fictional character. I see the metal god, Ogun, right? It's able to communicate with me through the symbol that I've programmed it with, right? When I see Venom and the symbiote from the Marvel Universe, I'm seeing the manifestation of melanin communicating with me. I'm seeing the personification of chaos. So I can buy that action figure and put it on my altar and use it to communicate with. And when I see it in the comics or the TV shows and the movies, I know that it's trying to deliver a message to me. It's simple, it's easy. Now, for beginners and people who aren't as experienced with this, it's best not to use a symbol that you already have a deep association with. For example, I mentioned the Macintosh logo, the Apple logo. Probably wouldn't be a good idea to use that as something because you already have feelings about Apple. Likewise with any sports team or whatever. Unless you're trying to really tap into that energy that you already have, right? For example, when I think about unicorns and Pegasuses, I think about innocence. I think about purity. I think about childhood, because that's what little kids like, right? Little girls and little boys, they like My Little Pony. So to me, it symbolizes purity, innocence, and that kind of thing. So I was able to tap into that energy by reprogramming all unicorns to mean something to me, right? To represent the angelic, right? The 72 angels of the Shem HaMephorash. When I'm doing a ritual with one of those angels, I don't know if you've noticed the My Little Pony universe, but they have so many different ones that you can use, and there's little toys of each one. So essentially, they've created an entire pantheon that I have hijacked and utilized for myself. So when you see these unicorns all over my room and all over my house, it's not that I'm a brony, because I don't even watch the show. But I have programmed in my own mind what each one of these things means. So when I go to the dollar store and I see a unicorn pin, like I said, it's a communication to me, right? You can do the same thing with any symbol. But the really useful thing with the media at large is that a lot of people put thought, energy, and emotion towards characters on the movie screen and the TV screen. So these characters kind of become thought forms. I mean, if you really want to think about it, there were thought forms already that communicated to the creator, and the creator gave them a manifestation. But in any case, if you're seeing them on the big screen and a lot of people are putting energy towards them, you can tap into that energy and use it for yourself. And I've covered this in previous videos. Like I said, go watch the Little Mermaid video, go watch the Area 51 video. It's not as difficult as you think. Mental transmutation. Now, as far as how to hijack the matrix, it's essentially doing this on purpose, taking these symbols and reprogramming them with your own intent. Speaking of which, I've got a book for you on that same subject, Creating Magical Entities by David Michael Cunningham. Get this book, right? Now, I'll be honest, when I first got this book, I didn't read it all the way through. I just got it because Brother Panic mentioned it. I read a little bit of it and I thought, yeah, cool. But I started doing this stuff on my own throughout the years. And then when I went back to finish this book, I'm like, well, damn, I'm already doing all this stuff. But this is kind of good to, I guess, give you some legitimization of your thought process, if you need that and if you want that. But if you don't know anything about this process, this is a good book to get. I think I created several entities in my childhood and coming up. I've created entities to protect people that I love. I've created entities to surround me with protection, to help me with prosperity. As far as a beginner working with magic and entities, a really good idea for you is to create an entity to help you fulfill your basic needs. Because there's a certain hierarchy of the human spirit that you need, right? And at the very bottom, it's just like the chakra system. At the very bottom, you need to fulfill the needs of having security and a comfortable home and things of that nature. And then the next level, you need to have things like social communication, a sexual relationship, a way to express your creativity. And the further up you go, the more you can get to things like, running your own business and the finer things in life. But it's a pyramid, it's a hierarchy. I think it's called Maslow's hierarchy or something. I'll post an image right there. But yeah, essentially, if you're a beginner and you're just getting into creating magical entities, look at your basic needs and what's not being met. A great idea would be to create an entity to help you fulfill those needs, right? And one of the mantras that I've been using for the past couple of months is, I am fulfilled. All my basic needs are met. I am complete. I am whole. Those type of things. And as the months have rolled on, in conjunction with some of the entities I've created, these things have begun happening for me. So my life is becoming better and better and better every day because I'm putting forth effort, right? I had the thought and the idea and I speak it. I put emotion behind it and I act on it. I live as if I'm already there every single day. I live as if my business is making millions of dollars. I live as if I am engaging with people in a wonderful social way. I'm living as if I have the best life. So to wrap that all up, I'm just saying, when you create your entities, it's a good idea to make sure you take care of yourself. Now, I'm going to read a chapter from this book because I think it's very key to the message that I've been trying to communicate, and I think it will be very helpful to you if you don't have the book. The chapter is Programming Your Intent. It's like 4 paragraphs, but check it out. Some say, and we agree, that symbols are the language of the deep mind. Dreams are an example of this deep mind language communication. Humans react and relate to symbols more easily and rapidly than they do the written or spoken word. This is because our subconscious communicates through a specialized form of symbolic language. Thus, using symbols allows us to communicate with our own and others' deep subconscious minds more effectively than most other modes of communication. Symbols can take the form of any medium that stands for or suggests something else. For example, the lion is often used to represent courage. Symbols can also be objects, sounds, colors, aromas, or actions representing something to the unconscious mind and having subjective cultural significance and the capacity to excite or objectify a response. There are many different types of symbols to choose from. The symbols that have been constructed from your subconscious will prove to be more powerful than any other symbols that you may choose to use. This is because such symbols speak directly to your subconscious as they were formed and created there. For example, an image of a cat to one person may bring on thoughts and feelings of love and caring, while for another person it may bring thoughts of rejection or aggression. These thoughts and ideas were constructed from each person's subconscious through the experience that they have had with cats. This is what I've been talking about. The first person may have had only great experiences with cats that were cuddly and loving, whereas the other person may have only experienced cats that wanted nothing to do with people and other cats that like to scratch people. Such symbolic relationships are more powerful for these people because they have been constructed in their subconscious and then externalized into the form cat. Is this stuff starting to make sense? To help define the core essence, or DNA if you will, of the entity, it is often a good idea to formulate symbols to represent the entity's realms, general and specific, of influence, its magical abilities, lifespan, its statement of intent, its tasks, etc. Use only those things that you feel are most important to this entity. Then creatively find a way to combine them or incorporate them into one symbol representing the overall objective of the entity. Doing this will communicate and solidify within your subconscious the entity that you are choosing to manifest. This is known as programming your intent. Of course, it is important for you to choose a system or method for finding or creating symbols that you are comfortable with and that are effective for you. When you have created the programming symbol, you may want to incorporate it into the entity's housing or whatever the physical object you keep the entity in, such as unicorn toys. You can paint it on, carve it, glue a picture of it on the housing, etc. Of course, this is entirely up to you to decide if you even want to include it into the housing, though it's always a good idea to create a programming symbol, even if you choose not to incorporate it into the housing. And then the next page has an example of a symbol and all the different symbols that this person used to make the master symbol of the entity. I think it'd be really cool if I made like a little master course for this in the Magus Academy, and I'm definitely going to do that, so give me some time to work on that. But yes, the subconscious mind is the generator of your reality, and it is a symbol-based operating system. It runs off of symbols, and like it said, it can be anything that titillates the five senses: aromas, tastes, sounds, sights, feelings, and experiences. All these can be utilized as symbols. And the way that you can program different symbols is through those three methods that I've talked about before, right? Through repetition, repetitively seeing it in conjunction with an emotional spike, right? This is how people program sigils through orgasm, right? You're working your way up, you're building your way up, when you're about to really get off and reach climax. That's when you switch your focus from whatever you're fantasizing about to the sigil. Right? You focus on the sigil, you focus on the intent, and you orgasm, you let yourself go. Now what's happening is you're reaching that emotional spike and you're programming that sigil with all those feelings and all those emotions. And if you do this repetitively, it's going to start working on its own. That's just the easy way, the shortcut to program sigils. There's so many other ways to program sigils. So, grab this book. Start working on your own entities. You can create them from scratch, or you can just hijack the matrix and use the symbols that they're already feeding you, and you can reprogram them. Somebody mentioned the other day that they kept seeing Starbucks commercials during an episode of one of these shows they were watching. Lo and behold, they went to Starbucks. Well, if you can reprogram that to the Yemaya ritual or some type of mermaid entity, you can now drink that coffee and it can subconsciously power you to receive the things that Yemaya gives. Just an example. There's so many ways. Artists usually have an easier time with this because artists work their imagination. They are able to really visualize or hear or taste, like, cooks and chefs and stuff, are able to really get into the astral zone and pull things down into the physical universe. People who are not artists might have a little bit of work to do to get up to that stage. But some advice for me is, as far as like being creative, and it's also mentioned in that book, every time you have a problem or something that needs to be solved, try to come up with like 10 different solutions, even if some of them are a little bit extreme. And what you're doing is you're training your mind to search for different angles to attack and solve a problem. As far as your relationship with these entities, it's always best to kind of be respectful. Like, you're treating them as a friend and not so much like, I demand you to do such and such or I'll punish you. I mean, how are you going to punish an imaginary thing, right? It's best to approach them as if you would approach your friends, with respect, you know what I'm saying? Like, with camaraderie. You don't have to be, oh, thee, thou divine, or, oh, great, majestic, unless that's what stimulates your imagination. But as far as sustainability goes, it's better to just communicate with these things regularly. And on another note, if you're going to be making pacts or deals or whatever like that, make sure that you keep up your end of the bargain. Because, again, this is all subconscious. If you tell the spirit, I'm going to sacrifice my rice and beans to you every night, as long as you make sure that I have all my bills paid without going to work, I don't know. If it's keeping up its job and you're not keeping up yours, you're working against yourself subconsciously, because now you're thinking, oh, I didn't give my sacrifice. I wonder if the spirit's still going to do what it says it does. And eventually it's going to stop working. Me, I personally don't really give sacrifices like that anymore. I mean, every now and then, if it's like a food sacrifice or a thing where I have to share my stuff sacrifice, it'll be kind of random. But I think the best way is just to offer something that you are already doing, right? When they talk about becoming an entrepreneur and making money, it's best to monetize what you already do. If you're a gamer, if you play video games all day, find a way to monetize that, right? Get on YouTube, make yourself a channel and go. If you make beats every single day, find out about licensing, right? Find out about how you can get your music into different places, sell your beats online, you know what I'm saying? Monetize what you already do. That way it's not an extra effort that goes against your natural vibe. If you like to sew and make clothes, get on Etsy and do that, because you're going to do it anyways. Why not monetize it? The same thing with the sacrifices. Give something that you're already doing. That way it's not a struggle. It's not a burden to you. You feel me? But you know what I'm saying? Also be careful how you program your entities. Not careful as far as fear is concerned, but just thinking smart. Because I would think in the beginning stages that my one entity can do all types of things and kind of get upset when it didn't. For example, if you program an entity for protection, that's what it's there to do. It's not also there for prosperity. That's kind of silly, right? Funny story, about 1.5 years ago when I was working with the Goetia, I was trying to work something to do with mental influence, if you will. So I sent the entity out to go influence this person. And I waited for about a week or so and there was no change. I'm like, what the fuck? So I sat down, got my tarot cards out, and I did a ritual to communicate with this entity, asking, yo, is the job done? What's going on? And through the cards, the entity literally said, hey man, this is out of my jurisdiction. I don't do that. Sorry, I can't do it. And, I'm like, what the, So I got a different entity, got the job done. I said that story to say, when you program your entity, use it for the thing you programmed it with. Don't try to overload it with 3, 4, 5 different intentions. Make a different entity. You can have as many as you want. You can have an entire pantheon. There's 72 goetic spirits. There's 72 angels of the Shemham Mefrosh. That's 144 right there. Not to mention, hell, look how thick this book is, right? You can have as many entities as your imagination can hold. By the way, that's Encyclopedia of Spirits by Judica Ills. I've mentioned this on the videos before. But yeah, look, the unicorn energy is yours to access. Go for it, right? There's so many out there. So many out there. You can use them for protection. You can use them for defense. You can use them to help purify your soul, help purify your heart and your mind, help to keep you clean, help to keep you pure. They're also related to diamonds, right? And working with these entities, they've shown me and they keep showing me a certain thing called diamond level. And that's where you are completely clear. You're as clear as humanly possible as far as not being attached to emotions and not being pulled with craving or with aversion. Being diamond level is right in the middle. Being so clear that light can transmit through you like a diamond, right? And when you're doing the Tree of Life, Lesser Banishing Ritual, the pentagram, the light comes down from Kether all the way to Malkuth with no problem, no obscuration, no coloration from any of your handicaps and your mental blockages. Diamond level. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm super excited. I get super excited if I'm talking about unicorns. I get super excited if I'm able to share something that I know will help you guys. So this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you guys. Peace.